Hello and welcome back to the Perth to Paisley podcast, episode number 165. As Hearts finally, eventually, as it felt like it's been going on for 2 years, closed out the 2023-24 season with two dead rubbers. However, the games did not act or feel like that at all. To go over them, a bunch of contract news and general summations. As ever, I am Daniel and I'm joined by Adam. Adam, how are you?
Relieved that the season's over. But yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Yeah, looking forward to the Euros. That should be a heck of a lot of fun. Usually, I'd be devastated that the football season's come to an end, but with a tournament, it's never quite as brutal. And Scotland are there, so yeah,
Yeah.
stuff to look forward to. Despite the longest season in human history, eventually being over. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been so weird how long this season has felt, despite it being a really fun and enjoyable one for us.
Yeah, I guess the kind of malaise of our shocking start kind of dragged on longer than we actually thought it did,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
that maybe is kind of I don't know. It's kind of had a domino effect on the rest of the season. But with that sort of mid period when we went on that fantastic run, I mean that
Yeah,
I'm more than happy if that wants to last forever because it was great fun.
it was. It was indeed. However, we are at the end. This is, by the way, we'll get this out of the way first. This isn't our last episode of the season because we have our usual summation one where we just go through everything. And I'll be honest, I had a look earlier at our preseason predictions.
Shocking.
Oh, it's bad. I think it's the worst we've had, which is saying
Get worse every
something.
year. Yeah,
Yeah,
get worse every
exactly.
year.
But that's next week. This week, we have the double header of St Mirren and Rangers to speak about. We both predicted 6 points from a possible six. We ended up getting two, but to be honest, deep down, that's maybe more than we actually thought we would get, considering the opposition and where it was.
I think it's a testament to the season that we've had, be that the manager, the coaching staff, the playing staff, that it doesn't like we don't really care about the last two. It would have been
Yeah.
nice to win both, but ultimately we've dropped points in both, but like we're not arsed.
No.
I don't care. And like I say, I'm just relieved that it's done, to be honest.
Yeah, it does not matter. However, the first game that we'll be speaking about was the midweek game as we travelled to Paisley. But first, everybody else was also in action. As if you're watching on YouTube, I suddenly just get hit by an angelic white
No,
glow of
just
my
thinking
screen.
that,
Yep,
just lighting up talking about other teams. I'm a bit
exactly.
worried now.
I'm that, but big team found. As we go to Ibrox, first of all, on the Tuesday night, where
Oof.
Rangers knew that they had to win to keep some form of potential hope of the league not going back with Celtic the next day. And they got off to the worst possible start as they found themselves 2-0 down at half time, two goals inside 2 minutes from Dundee. However, they came out and just then blitzed Dundee as they were expected to do and eventually won 5-2. Moving to the next night, Wednesday, the rest of us were in action. We had our game as we will speak about, and Celtic were crowned champions at Rugby Park as they ran out very comfortable 5-0 winners. Then we move into the bottom six as we spoke about it on Twitter and amongst ourselves that we picked the worst day to record ever last week as we recorded, and the next day, Hibernian Football Club fucking imploded, basically, because on the night that was Lewis Ferguson and Paul Hanlon. Lewis Ferguson? Imagine if Lewis Ferguson was there. Lewis Stevenson and Paul Hanlon's last game at Easter Road. And it actually turned out to be Lewis Stevenson's last game for Hibs because he didn't feature against Livingston,
Didn't even know that.
which is an interesting call. So he ends at 600 appearances flat. They were at home to Motherwell and they ran out 3-0 winners. However, Nick Montgomery wasn't in the dugout as he had been sacked the day before. And in the director's box was their new sporting director, Malky Mackay. I cannot wait to hear what Adam says about that. The other two games, Aberdeen ran out very comfortable. There was a lot of 5-goal teams this midweek as they also scored five against
Just gonna end the
already
season
relegated.
feel.
Yeah, exactly. No one. That is the interesting thing. People, and we'll kind of get to it in our games. the idea of dead rubbers, oftentimes people put in their head that that means really boring games. But because they're dead rubbers, I think people just go, oh, we can just do what we want now.
Yeah, there's no pressure. It's the
Yeah,
time for experimenting. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
it's quite rad how these play out.
So they ran out 5-1 victors over Livingston. And the only game that then mattered was Ross County versus St Johnstone. And Ross County looked to have completely assured their safety in the Scottish top flight by finishing 10th, if it wasn't
Devastated.
for a 95th minute equaliser by Sidibe of St Johnstone, which took it to the final day. But we'll get to that in a wee bit. What did you make of the other midweek fixtures?
You finished there, so I'm going to start at Perth. Absolutely devastated to see St Johnstone come back and miraculously rescue a point. Really not happy. Hibs beating Motherwell 3-0. Again, Motherwell must be total guff because this Hibs team are crap.
Yeah.
So don't know how that's happened. Um, the the appointment of Malky Mackay is an interesting one. Let's just rip that plaster off.
Yeah. It's
You,
horrific. It shouldn't be happening.
you know it's bad when you go on the tweet and it's got as many replies as it does likes
Yeah.
and quotes.
Yeah.
And the reply is mostly the same image that comes up time and time
Yep.
and time again.
Yeah.
Just baffling. It's just a club that don't know whether they're coming or going and
No.
just cannot read the room for whatever possible reason. So that's good. Hopefully we can continue to take advantage of that next season. I feel really sorry for Livingston. It was nice to see them take the lead at Pittodrie. It would be quite a nice laugh to
Like,
see them
oh,
beat Aberdeen.
they've
But
suddenly just started to turn up since they got relegated. They're like, right,
so,
shackles off, lads.
Davy Martindale must be absolutely raging in it. He must be like, where the hell was this a couple of months ago?
Yeah.
But he's already making moves for next season. I mean, I've got to respect the commitment. Kilmarnock Celtic, I expected a tight game at Rugby Park.
Yeah.
Did not see Celtic going down there and battering Killie as easily as they did. But then obviously when you've got the incentive to win the league, that's perhaps, the key factor as to why that is. And Dundee haven't won at Ibrox since 2001. And I can see why, because they'll never get a better chance going 2-0 up against this absolute gang and concede 5 goals in the second half and totally collapse. So a mental quintet of fixtures, and our game was pretty crazy too. So yeah, I mean surprises, maybe Hibs running out as comfortable winners.
Do you think that was just because of the kind of, it felt like a testimonial almost, where it was like, we need to win this game for them?
Probably. Again, like we kind of spoke about it as well when Motherwell appealed the Jack Vale red card.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously seemed set in their ways that they were going to finish 7th though. So the fact that they've then got beat as comfortably off
Very
a
true.
Hibs that are in disarray is quite a surprise. Yeah, again, I knew that game at McDiarmid Park would finish 1 each. That was just absolutely written. So when I saw Ross County take the lead, I'm thinking, go on, just get them down, get them down. But sadly not to be, and we'll no doubt come on to the weekend later
Yes,
as
we
well,
will.
because it's just devastating.
But before that, we do have our game in Paisley. You may be thinking, you're spending a lot of time on Around the Grounds. We've got 2 games to get through here.
Unintentional, sorry.
No, it kind of is intentional, because the problem is Hearts didn't release a highlights package for this. Sports Scene just wasn't a thing for these midweek games available on the iPlayer. So I'm not watching the full game again as well. I'm eliminating
We've not got
that.
the time. I'm sorry,
Nah.
we've not got the time.
So we're at the mercy of the SPFL highlights, which I will tell you are 5 minutes, and 4 minutes 30 of them are the 4 goals that took place. The other 35 seconds are 2 Craig Gordon good saves. So the St Mirren bit is just going to be speaking about the goals, but we will first get to the team, because there was a big aspect to the team.
Oh, good Lord.
I
I feared the worst here. I know we said it was a dead rubber, but I looked at that and thought, Jesus, this could be bad.
So we lined up in the 3-5-2. It was Craig Gordon,
Yuck.
Desi Lembikisa, Alex Cochrane as the 2 wing backs, Kai Rose, Frankie Kent, and Toby Sibic as Stephen Kingsley was confirmed to be missing in the pre-match press conference by Naismith saying he felt something in a nerve in his leg. So therefore,
Not
he was
not
like,
worth the risk.
he was
Not
not
worth the
risking
risk.
them. Yep. So Toby Sivic came in. Then there was Cammy Devlin, Aidan Denham, and Scott Fraser, which was interesting. And a front two of Alan Forrest and the man that last week I said would get goals in the next two fixtures gets his first league start, Kiyosuke Tagawa. You said you were panicked when you saw the starting lineup.
Yeah, I did.
Why is that?
Because right, it just from back to front, it reeks of backup brigades,
It
didn't it,
was the
really?
backup brigade, apart from like Devlin, Kent, Gordon, and stuff.
Toby Sivic is just like I feel like he just hibernates throughout the season when
Yeah,
we just
it
bring him out
does.
at most like the most random times. Um, in Denham, I'm happy to see start. Scott Fraser, I'm not happy to see start.
Yep, fair.
Um, and I look, I've said it's a time for experimenting, yeah. Um, but a front two of Alan Forrest and Kyosuke Tako did not fill me with belief, given Forrest ain't a striker, and we hadn't seen anything from Tago yet. I love how you dropped this prediction in after mouthing off about our terrible preseason predictions, as though this is like some sort of rescue, and what you hadn't previously
In
said is
fairness,
left on the internet for everybody to see.
in fairness though, I've stuck by Tagawa all
Yeah,
season.
you have. Yeah.
So therefore, I'm allowing myself this week, where next week I'm going to be publicly embarrassed for some of my calls. So therefore,
But
I'm hoping on that.
in saying that, I feel like we've been pretty lenient with Tago anyway. I
The
don't think
entire fan base has, yeah.
yeah, like but I mean, I guess you're always going to have that. It's like some are going to have written him off
Yeah, of course.
partially, whereas we've said with the pedigree, like he's been capped by Japan. I think he scored from Japan,
Yeah,
so there must be something there. And look, this is the main positive for me. Talking about the game was not just his goal, which we'll come on to, but his all-round performance. I thought he was
yep.
really good,
He was
really
really,
good,
really good.
which is encouraging because I don't mean to do this so soon, but the Shanklin situation rears its head I feel like every weekend, like
Yeah,
literally every single week, every month, particularly coming up to the summer where there's the transfer window and people are kind of anxious as to his sufficient replacement. Perhaps he just needs to be given a chance. I don't know. We might already have the Shankland replacement lined up. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm not trying to get too carried away. But those two appearances, those two cameos, are very encouraging considering he's a player that hadn't shown a great deal prior to that.
absolutely. However, we got off to the worst possible start. As
As
a
we saw,
ball.
Scott Fraser was playing.
Yes, exactly. And then it was like, oh shit. I will say, because he doesn't come up for the rest of the highlights. Weirdly, I actually thought Scott Fraser played quite well. I thought it was his best appearance for us. And I say that when he's had
I,
assists in previous appearances, but he's never had
no.
any proper impact. Like,
Uh,
I felt he was all right. I was like, oh, I'm noticing Scott Fraser doing well in this
But
game.
you kind of touched on it last week. Like, if he's not going to be here next season, I get a feeling he is going to be here next season. But
From what
if
I've
he,
heard, he's going to be here next season.
but if he's not,
What are we
then
doing?
why give him the like? You brought Macaulay Tate off the bench anyway. Just give
Yeah.
him 90
It's
minutes.
like he's
We
there.
said it. They're dead rubbers. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, he was adequate.
He was all right. Fair play to him. He wasn't all right here, as was no one. Because a
Oh, this was
ball a
horrendous.
ball is swung into the Hearts box about 5 minutes in. It ends up getting headed back across our own box by our own player as Cochrane goes up to head it
Yeah,
away. And I can't actually remember who it is. I think it's Gogic goes up with them. And as a result,
I think you
Cochrane
might be
just gets
right.
a contact on the ball, heads it straight back across. And of course, first goal for the club. James Scott is there.
Former Hibs.
Yeah, former
Classic.
Hibs.
Absolutely classic.
Like, he was hopeless at Hibs. He's been hopeless for St Mirren. He's a hopeless footballer. But In the dead rubbers, that's where he turns up. Didn't he score a hat trick for Hibs the last day of the season last season when it meant fuck all? It was like they couldn't do anything and they got a hat trick.
No idea. Was that not the season prior? Because last day of the season was the Derby, wasn't it?
It was the
Last
season
year.
before because I keep thinking,
Yeah.
God, this is a testament to how long this season's
I'm
been.
honest to God, mate. It's
Yeah.
great. We should have been 1-0 down before that anyway. Like it
Gordon
was a
makes a
decent
very
stop
big save and
from
then
Gordon to
Kent clears it.
from like the Scott tries to drive on at an angle, but I mean just us trying to play out from the back, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
It
When
can work, which is why I
it
think they
can.
do it. But
It can,
we'll speak about
but
it
with
in next
select
games.
personnel in a select
Yes,
formation, that
yes,
we've
exactly.
seen. This is the key case study as to why I cannot stand us playing a three at the back.
Yeah,
We've had it. We've had enough trials. We've given it enough time. No, it has to stop. That's my big agenda here. In terms of the goal, I mean, Scott Tanser's got a lovely delivery. I've said this for, well, ever since he was at St Johnstone before signing for St Mirren. But I mean, Cochrane heads back across goal, yeah. But I mean, Civic and Kent are snoozing, man. I mean, James Scott he can't believe the space that he's got to just wander into, and then he's yards out. Like the three at the back, just it has to go. It has
yeah,
to go. I'm
very
sorry.
fair.
Like, unless we're playing in Glasgow, as that's bizarrely the
When
only
it
time that's ever worked.
inexplicably works.
Against all the other jobbers, I'm not remotely interested in a three at the back.
Fair play. However, we weren't to be behind for too long because 10 minutes
Thankfully.
later, Cammy Devlin just continues to become Paul Hartley, and I don't
No, 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 no,
understand how.
no, no, no. I've dug Scott Fraser out here. This is perhaps the best thing he's done in a Hearts shirt.
How? What did
Gordon
he even
rescuing
do?
that,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
rescues it,
okay,
and then
fair.
decides to give it to Alex Cochrane because he realizes that Alex Cochrane is the second best footballer at the club,
Yeah.
who then sends Cammy Devlin marching down left. And as you say, where the hell is this Cammy Devlin come from? Again, like Stephen Naismith didn't even leave it till these dead rubbers and experiment.
No,
He just decided that he was going to turn Cammy Devlin into a box to box player anyway.
it's mad. And a box to box player that decides to have the confidence to push Alex Gogic out the way.
What about that? I'm a big fan of that.
Delighted about it. Cuts the ball back and on rushing onto it in a manner that we will see again days later
Yeah.
with all the calmness and confidence of somebody who's been doing it all season. Kiyosuke Tagawa peels away from his defender, who I think is Tanzer, and just smashes it into the back of the net. It's 1-1. As you said, up until this point as well, 20 minutes in, he'd been playing well. He was linking
Yeah.
up well and creating space. There was a moment, it wasn't in the highlights package, but I remember it. Forrest cut in and could have cut back to Tagua, but chose to try and find Lembakisa at the back post, very
Yes, he
similar
did.
to what a situation that happened at the weekend. But Tagua was in a really good position, and I was getting into that rage where I was like, this is happening in every game Tagua plays in. He gets himself into a good position, and his teammates just
Just nobody
don't
finds
pass
him.
to him.
Yeah.
But this time they did. He gets his first goal. I will say the only other highlight of the second half.
First league goal, no?
First league goal, sorry, because he scored against Partick Thistle.
Yeah.
The only other highlight of this half is Cochrane whips a ball into the back post and Tagawa has another chance, but he ends up going out
Oh
for the
my
throw in.
God. Yeah.
It's fine. Ignore that.
That was a
right?
terrible effort. But other than that, he was great.
But he takes his goal incredibly well.
Yeah, he does. I think he also nutmegs Zach Hemming in
Yeah, I
the
think he
Saints
does.
goal as well in the process.
Yeah.
A very good finish. I mean, that first time finish is not easy. And as you say, he just looks so cool, calm, composed, assured, relaxed. It's a great finish. A really good goal. I'm really pleased because, listen, we know what it's like having seen some of the dross that we have seen pull on that maroon shirt in attacking areas. I think when you're a striker, it's the hardest position to play because you have to hit the ground running when you're at a new club. I think other positions you're that little bit more lenient where they can maybe do with that sort of bedding in time. But as a striker, particularly if you've been signed for a big fee and you've come off the back of a successful season, a season where you've scored a barrel load, there's an instant expectation and pressure put upon your shoulders, unfairly, in my opinion,
Mhm.
to come in and immediately start scoring goals for your new team. Now, it hasn't happened for Tagua. He's not had sufficient game time for it to happen. So, again, these are seen as dead rubbers, yeah, but players are ultimately playing for, I don't want to say their future because that's a bit cheesy, but they're trying to put themselves into the spotlight. They're trying to prove as to why they should be part of the squad, or maybe they're going for a contract extension, or in Scott Fraser's case, to turn his loan spell into a permanent one. He's trying to impress, and I was left more than impressed with that. It was a wonderful finish and a great goal. Really pleased with Cammy Devlin's part in it, as you say, absolutely bodies Alex Gogic. I think Richard Taylor might be on the same sleeping pills as some of our centre backs, but
Yeah.
who cares? I mean, he peels off superbly, and the finish is magnificent. So really pleased.
You make a really good point there about Tago's minutes. I worked it out. He's played the equivalent of 7 games. So when you think of 3 goals in 7 games, it's actually no that bad.
No, exactly. Again, like we're just, I don't know. Trust the process. Well, just a bit of patience required sometimes. And again, like we're all guilty of it. I was probably guilty of it at the start of the season, thinking we were going down a path where I was really worried at the
Mm.
start of the season. I thought a rookie manager, this only goes one way. But it just goes to show you what confidence can do. Like winning breeds confidence. Scoring in Tago's case, hopefully will breed confidence. So it's just the start of his Hearts career. Let's just hope that he gets a sufficient crack of the whip next season, and we'll have a look and see how he does then.
Well, speaking about confidence, that all went out the window for our centre halves once again, as in the second half, we just jump to the second goal that we concede. It's another ball that is swung in. Kent and Rolls, Kent especially, is just so flat footed and completely caught under it. And
Terrible.
continuing in the trend of people named James getting their first goal for St Mirren in this game, James Bolton gets his first goal as a substitute off the bench, who I actually thought he had quite a good impact alongside scoring. I thought he looked quite dangerous. And it is just further like, do you think this is just out of the fact that they're like, oh, fuck, I can't be arsed. We've got Europe, we've got third, fuck this.
Frankie Kent has been marvellous for Hearts this season,
Yep.
but I think he's thinking about the beach.
Yeah, he is. And to be fair, I dare blame him. He could do
Absolutely
it.
not. Imagine finishing up your work and you've got 2 shifts left. One of them is a midweek in Paisley.
He'd quit.
You'd use any excuse within the book to phone in sick and just
Yep.
patch that off. Not a chance.
And that
But
is the footballing equivalent of doing that, just not jumping for a header.
not remotely arsed. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not a great goal to concede, but again, the state of where we're at, the timing of it in the season, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care.
Yeah.
A bit like Frankie Kent when going up for that ball, like
Yeah.
whatever happens, happens. Do you know what I mean? Like we could we could we could go on and slate absolutely everybody, but we've had a great campaign, so I don't feel
Yeah.
like doing that
And
today.
let's be
I'm
honest.
I'm negative enough throughout the season, so
If you asked any Hearts fan, what header would you rather Frankie Kent won? That one to stop a goal or one that happened in the Rangers game right at the very end? Every Hearts
exactly.
fan will be like, that's fine, Frank. You can be as flat footed as you want in Paisley. It's all right.
There's credit in the bank as far as Frankie Kent's
Yes.
concerned.
I will
I don't
say
think
though,
he's under
I've
pressure.
just thought this. He doesn't like Paisley. Because mind when we played St Mirren, he just let that ball go
No, that's
across him.
right.
And he's shitting, but we should
Just
never play him
can't,
in
just
Paisley.
doesn't like St Mirren.
Yep, exactly.
Nobody does, Frankie. But hey, we've got to go there as fans. At least you're getting paid. We're not. We're giving our money for
Yeah,
that.
we're paying to do it.
Exactly. I'm out of pocket and depressed when we go to Paisley, so
Right,
you can thankfully escape.
that's the one critique of Frankie Kent this season. Learn to turn up in
His
Paisley.
Paisley performance has been
Yeah.
absolutely abysmal. This is why we need to scrap flying teams 4 times in the one
Yeah,
season. One trip's enough.
exactly.
SPFL.
Exactly. But then the final meaningful action
Oh
of the
my
game.
goodness gracious me.
Tagawa comes up. I was
How many
gutted.
times you watched? How many times you watched it?
I've watched it so many times.
So have I. Literally just sat there on loop, just rewinding it, playing it again.
I was slightly annoyed at the
So good.
substitution of Tagawa for Shanklin because I put £2 on
Yeah,
Tagawa getting a brace before the game and he scored 20 minutes in and I was like, it's fucking on. He's doing it. And then he gets brought off and I was raging. But the guy that he's coming on is not a bad replacement to have as we get a corner. And what is depressingly, probably the last time I'm going to get to say this, Alex Cochrane swings in a ball that
no,
is
don't
ended up
say that.
scored by Lauren
Don't say
Shankland
that.
because it is headed out to the edge of the box where Lauren Shankland, without looking, without facing the goal, sends a volley back over his own head, loops over everybody. Literally everybody stops and watches the ball, nestles into the back of the net. My brother, who's, as we record this, it was his birthday yesterday, and he wanted a mention on the podcast for that. So,
I did wish him a happy birthday, so he's not getting that on the podcast.
yeah,
Sorry, Kate.
good. Glad to hear it. But he made this excellent point for this show that Lawrence Shankland this season scored his first goal in Perth and got his 30th in Paisley, which is a not bad situation for this podcast to be in. But just everything about it's mental. Like the goal itself is one of the best goals he scored for us, and it's such an important goal to get. The fact that we went, me especially, because I'm a year older than you, I went literally a quarter of a century without seeing a Hearts player score 20 goals. And then in the space of 2 years, we get one score 20 plus. Coming the next season, everyone goes, can he do as well as that season? Was it maybe a one season wonder? He starts off slow, scores one in his first 7, and you're thinking, shit, the bubble's burst.
We've peaked.
Yep. And then he gets 30, something not done in a generation and a half. What do you even say now about Shankland?
I was running out of superlatives in January, February.
Yeah.
I still not worked out any others for me. Well, the goal is just it's like something off a computer game. It's like it's like a score hero finish.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's ridiculous. He's got absolutely no right to do that.
And it just shows the confidence that he has.
Magnificent. Oh. I tell you what, he'll be absolutely spewing that Hearts did the club awards when they did.
Oh, I know.
He'll be raging. That should be a goal of the season contender.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Alan, but
sorry, I'll get bumped exactly. And it's both in 2 each draws, but you can't not for a draw against Hibs, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But what a goal! Unbelievable. And again, like what actually do you say? Because he scooped every single Player of the Year award.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course, that's happened in the time we've been away. He also got the Scottish Writers Award and the PFA Award.
So, like, it's not just us that are deluded with our maroon tinted specs on that just. I mean, he has to start for Scotland in the summer. He has to. But I get the fear that he won't.
So
but he's different. He's the best number 9 that we've ever seen.
There's no one even close. Like, see, in terms of like a forward, I think Boyce is like more intelligent than him and like can control a game better. But in terms of just like a guy, we'll get to it in the next game. I've never ever in my life had a moment against one of the Old Firm where we were through and I was not nervous. I was like, we're about to score here.
It's exactly that. Yeah, a 1-on-1, you honestly would stick the house on it to score.
Yeah.
And
I know later in that game he fucked up and took a massive touch, but it doesn't matter. Like when he's got control of the ball,
rare that we've had that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like whenever you see Hearts race through on goal, my first thought is how the hell are they going to mess this up?
Yeah,
surely we don't score this.
Yeah,
but with him, it's different. I mean, you can start celebrating as soon as he's clean through.
Yeah, it's just
he's so good.
He's amazing, and as we say, that brings an end to a very entertaining game. The only other highlight was Gordon makes a great reflex save to keep it 2-2 in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a good save.
But that comes in it. All I wanted for these final few games was for them to be good games. And we've literally had amazing games post-split. Like, there's not really been a boring game, which I was really glad to
And
see.
contributions from players that don't or haven't previously contributed as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
Another big
Absolutely.
takeaway.
So we then move on to the final day of the Scottish Premiership season.
Thank God the title was sealed as well before this as
Oh,
well,
I
by the
know.
way.
I know.
Could you
However,
imagine a
I did
helicopter Sunday?
I
Sack or Saturday, sack that.
did see someone make the point that imagine how good it would have been if what
If
happened
that
happened
yeah,
cost them
yeah.
the league. That would
Fair
have been like
point.
the best moment at Tynecastle in that I'd been at. Like that would have been unbelievable.
Could have shut so many Celtic fans up as well as with the whole lying down part as well. Oh,
It would have been
oh,
amazing.
that's a great point. I hadn't thought
Yeah.
about it like that.
Yeah, and you
But
had
but why take the risk?
yeah,
I'm
oh
more than
yeah.
happy with how it's played out.
Especially because you could argue Rangers wouldn't have taken the foot off the gas in the manner that they did, and they wouldn't have played
Yeah.
because they didn't really play that well. Whereas if it was up for something, they would have been going full throttle.
It's mental that that game had 6 goals. Like
Yeah, it's crazy.
you wouldn't have foreseen that at all.
No, not at all. But the remaining games, all the top six played on the Saturday, and the other draw was Dundee versus Kilmarnock, two teams we nothing to play for, much like
Four
ourselves and
draws
Rangers.
between Dundee and Killie this season in the
Mad,
league.
eh?
How boring is that?
Yeah, it's so
Couple
weird.
of two eaches and I think 2-1-1s, 2-1-1s,
Yeah.
2-2-2s.
The best we
Just
got out of that was the Gary Mackay Stephen goal graphic where he's just in a suit having a
that's
drink.
amazing.
That
The
was
Kelly
good.
admin, can I just
Oh, it's
say,
so good.
whoever's been doing their social media stuff, they have absolutely smashed it. That TikTok of everybody in the
This
European adventure
it's
is
so good.
hilarious.
It's so good. The one they did in the 5-2 game at St Mirren doing the still game clips was amazing as well. Like fair play.
Even when they came up to us after the women's cup final, and
Mhm.
obviously there was the badge covering malarkey, like
Yeah,
to
that
roll out
was
the carpet and that. I'm like,
that's really
whoever
funny.
took over Kelly's social media, you've been top notch. Probably an unsung hero of the league.
Yeah,
There you go.
definitely. In the other top six games, Celtic, despite having a wee bit of trouble with them, managed to beat St Mirren on the final day. The title had already been secured, but it was Joe Hart's last game at Celtic Park, so they wanted to make sure they won that. Then on the Sunday, the bottom six played. The one inconsequential game
Oh,
that was just really funny was Hibernian taking the lead at Arminville, and then just going, "No, you're all right. We're just fuck this. We can't even give you a
how
win to
can the
go
Leeds
home."
billionaires not beat Livingston?
Yeah,
Already relegated Livingston.
yep, 1-1. That finished, but the games that mattered was in the Highlands and in Motherwell as Ross County drew with Aberdeen. 10 men,
Ah,
Aberdeen, as Angus MacDonald got sent off. And Craig Levein and Ryan McGowan, St Johnston, finally
don't
managed to turn it
no.
up on the last day as they defeated Motherwell 2-1. I was speaking about this on Twitter. I think it's totally fair to say that Shankland was the most individually important player to a team. But if you could make an argument for anybody else, the argument is for Mitov with St Johnston because
Oh, that
otherwise
shout.
they would have been Livingston would have been 11th
Yeah, they'd been
if it
relegated
wasn't.
in
Yeah,
August if it wasn't for
like
Mitov.
a huge moment as he saves Bears penalty when it's 1-0 and then they run up the other end
He's
through.
another contender actually, but to be
Yeah,
fair.
that is very true, actually. Runs up the other end and some horrific goalkeeping from apparently Rangers bound Liam Kelly, which is some laugh.
After being linked with Celtic as well
Yeah,
previously. Jesus.
makes it that St Johnston finished 10th and stayed up on the final day, even though Motherwell fans pretended that Ross County had scored and Craig Levein nearly died. So it means that Ross County will be playing Wraith. I believe the first playoff game is the day after this comes out. I think it's Thursday night.
Yeah, Thursday night at Starks Park, I think, first,
Yeah.
and then they're up to Dingwall at the weekend.
What did you make of the last round of fixtures in the week this season? I have a feeling we disagree about who is happy
Yeah,
that finished.
I'm not happy. I'm not
I'm
happy.
happy for Levein.
Happy for Craig Levein, happy for Ryan McGowan. That's it. That's the
Yeah,
end of the list. Because St Johnston, just dull in it. Like
Yeah.
even regardless of who it would have been, McIver, because both Ross County and St Johnstone have finished in the playoff place the last two seasons.
Mhm.
So whoever it was, I'd probably want Wraith Rovers to beat them,
Yeah, I'm the same. I want Wraith to come up.
but I don't think they will. I think
I
Ross
think they
County will
will.
have too much. Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think they will. I think
I really hope
the
so.
narrative of Lewis Vaughan exists,
Now,
and
that would
it's
be quite cool, to be fair.
like I think they'll do it. I don't see Ross County managing to survive back-to-back playoffs. I might be wrong because Simon Murray's been on fucking
I was going
fire.
to say exactly that. I just think County have too much firepower for
Dan
them. Yeah,
does
like we
been
know about
great.
Dan does quality. Simon Murray, Big Jordan White causes problems. Eamon Brophy. Yeah, I just think they'll have too
Laidlaw
much
might just
for
decide
Wraith
to
Rovers.
chuck some in again though.
I know, but I was saying that Kevin Dabrowski, I know he's
He's
moved on from
class.
Hibs. He's been really good for
Yeah, he's
Rovers,
been really
so
good.
I just can't. I'd love
I
for
hope I
Rovers
hope
to
they
to
do.
do it, but I just can't see it. Just for something new, I suppose.
Yeah,
And because it looked like they were going to push Dundee United all the way, really,
yeah, it did.
till they fell off in kind of the last couple of weeks and months. So, um, how have St Johnstone done that, man? Like they
Crazy.
don't score goals. So how do they win games?
That I mean, this sounds
That boy
really like
Sidibe is caught fire at just the right
that's
time.
what I was going to say. It's a very obvious statement I'm about to make, but the Sidibe signing kept them in the league.
I mean, is this? I don't mean to go whole Derek Adams here, but is this what Scottish football's become? He came from like the seventh tier in England or something.
Aye, but you could say that about like most things because some people will look at us and go,
It's coaching, isn't it? I suppose if you take
yeah.
somebody that's raw and you work on their
And
finishing
that's what I was
and
going to say. I think Levine, I mean, I know Michael Stewart just has a personal vendetta against him and will never give the guy
you don't
credit.
say. What gives you that
I know
impression?
exactly. But Levine came in and they hadn't won a game yet. They'd got like 6 points or something like that, and they were all draw or
That's
4 points. Now they were bottom of the
mental that they
league.
got. I mean, they got battered in their Viaplay Cup group, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
Stirling Albion did
yeah,
them. They're going to be
exactly.
playing in League Two next, and they won 4-0 at McDermott or
Yeah.
something.
If you said to a St Johnstone fan when Levine came in, he will not only keep you up, you won't even be in the playoffs. They would have been like, fuck
What
off,
are you
what? Yeah,
on?
we'll take that. Absolutely. I think there's been a weird narrative about Levine, and it is mostly just from Michael Stewart. Which and listen, we know more than most. His football is not enjoyable to watch, right? It's very pragmatic and like just
It's one way of putting it.
yeah. It's I'm trying to I love him, so I'm trying to be nice. It's
I do like Levine as well. Like he's given us some great moments being back in the like
yeah.
when it post winning at Easter Road and the whole I
But
love it.
wee
Like
things like
that is
that, like that
magnificent.
kept them up. Beating
Yeah.
Hibs kept them up. That's how Levine can view it. Like,
What
I
a
love
guy.
that. Did you see his post-match interview on St Johnstone TV?
No, what was this at the weekend?
Yeah, he was like asked about it, and he was like, they got me with a wee joke. I thought that was it. I had to take 2 more heart pills and stuff like that. But he's like, the main general feeling is just that I'm fucking knackered. And he looks at the guy, and the guy goes, "We'll bleep it. It's fine. We'll bleep it. It's fine." And he's so excited at the idea of making the editor do work. It's like that's what I mean. I didn't care what he did to us at the end.
Oh, he's
I
he's
love
an
him.
absolute icon, Levine.
I
He
love
is
him.
an icon.
But yeah, they're staying up. County potentially going down. We'll see. But
We had no real winner there because I
yeah.
like Don Cowie as well. I hope he gets
Yeah, I
that
like
job.
Don Cowie as well.
But
And
it's
Danda.
can't wait to see him pull on that maroon top.
Yeah, it's
What a
going to be.
wonderful footballer. Um, yeah, that's worth all the discussion, really. Just somehow St Johnstone have done it, and hopefully Ross County get beat, but I don't think they do,
Yeah.
sadly.
We'll see. We'll see. However, we do
At
have
least
our final.
at least the plastic park enthusiasts will be happy that Wraith Rovers are coming up just as Livingston are going down.
Exactly.
That'll bode well.
Wraith's Astro is class, though. It's such a good pitch. It's better than most pitches in the
I
top
like
flight.
Starks Park. I don't know why.
Yeah, I like Starks as well.
Yeah, I do like it.
I hope they come up. But anyway, we do have a fucking interesting game to speak about to close the season. It was
That we do.
unspeakably hot. There was 2 water breaks, and I think they needed 5. Even though folk were who was getting really annoyed about it on Twitter? David Tanner was furious about the idea that there was water breaks.
So is my missus. I'm glad that you brought this up. She was like, a water break. You guys are taking a water break, and it's like 20 degrees. I'm like, yeah. Look what they play in like
Yeah,
all year round.
I
This
was
will be
dying. I was sat up the back
unbearable.
in the shade. Like, never mind running about in the sun. Fuck that. So it was roasting, and you're thinking, just dare get battered. That's what you hope. That's what you always hope. And we certainly didn't do that. But
Hoping for a win, given that it's
yeah,
been a while.
it's the only team we hadn't beaten this season in the top flight.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard Laurie say it's like the first time since 2010, 11 or something like that.
Yeah,
We've not been each and every other team, which
it's
is
crazy.
remarkable.
But there was some changes and a change of formation as we went back to the 4-2-3-1. It did mean that there was weird people playing in weird positions because Stephen Kingsley returned to the starting lineup, but was playing right back.
I was going to say, notably, Stephen Kingsley. I think
Yeah,
he's the only one that was really,
yeah,
you were like, how on earth, how does this work? But
yeah. It was very
fair play,
surprising.
don't mind it. What a player.
Xander Clark came in for Craig Gordon, so the lineup looked like this: Alex Cochrane and Stephen Kingsley as fullbacks, with Frankie Kent and Kai Rolls, Beni Baningime and Cammy Devlin as the two, Barry Mackay, Kenny Vargas, and Yutaro Oda in behind Shankland. Now, before we get into speaking about the game, there is one piece of news that happened.
Is that regarding a sitting midfielder that you just mentioned?
It certainly is. Now, I want to just make a point. Rob left some comments on our podcast last week on the YouTube version, so thank you very much, Rob.
Rob who?
And
Rob
it
Mortwick.
no, not he's using it's just a username, Noxious Rob. So thank you very much for
Noxious
that.
Rob.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much for
Noxious
that.
Rob.
And he was making the point all about Benny, saying that at the time last week we spoke about the interview that he had where it was
Mhm.
will he go, will he not go, and Rob was saying that he immediately thought that's it, he's staying. He wouldn't be saying
Yeah,
anything like
last couple of
that.
sentences, wasn't it?
Yep, absolutely. He also made the point to me because I said last week about Ben leaving, and I went, "We're Shankland and Cochrane are probably leaving. Benny's low down in my worries." Rob was like, "What do you mean? He's low down in your worries. He's amazing." I just meant in the fact of I love the two. I love Benny, but I love Shankland and Cochrane more, and Cochrane's my favourite player. So I'm worried about everyone else could leave apart from Devlin and Shankland and Gordon, and I'd be fine as long as we kept Cochrane. That's all I meant. Don't worry. But yes, Beni Baningime announced that he has signed a 2-year deal until 2026. He, today, as we record this, gave an exclusive interview to Barry Anderson where he spoke about the fact that Naismith phoned his mum and dad to speak to them and get their thoughts about what Benny should do. And he was like, that was one of the deciding things, because he was like, he wants to be in a place where it feels like he's valued and wanted at the club. And he was like, not everybody would do that, actually go out and speak to mum and dad thinking what they want.
100% that's here.
And he's just really excited. He didn't want to just commit to a year. He wanted to commit to 2 because he was like, there's no point in just playing for a year because you're just kicking the can down the road. And he made reference to the fact that when he signed, he said to Joe Savage, I'll make this club a lot of money. And he laughed and was like, I think the figure I quoted was 90 million. And he's like, it maybe won't be that much, but he's like, I'm still confident that I'll make this club a lot of money. What was your
Thing.
reaction to him staying?
Well, now I'm buzzing that 85 million will soon be in our
Yeah,
coffers.
exactly.
I'm really pleased. I didn't foresee that. I had kind of resigned myself like you to the
Same.
fact that he was
Yeah.
off till he gave that interview. And then you start to think, oh, hold on a second. If you're already previewing next season, then surely that means that,
Saying stuff like we as well.
yeah, us and we.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, Benny, you little tease. And he's put pen to paper now. Really pleased. He and Devlin, I mean, the season before last, the two of them were incredible together.
Yeah, they were.
I really hope that we begin to see that on a more regular basis next season. The two of them, possibly with a Yandanda or somebody in front. Just, oh my God,
Blair Spittle.
I'm salivating at the thought, McIver. You know me,
Exactly.
I'm getting really excited.
We're going to win the
So
league. It's going to be amazing.
Danda slipping it through to Tago on a weekly basis. Goals galore.
The best. It's going to be amazing. But that was the lineup. Benny
But
was
no,
a
really
part of it.
pleased. Really pleased.
And very quickly, we just started quite well. I just thought we played well. at the weekend, and it's weird to say against Rangers. I know it's your holy grail.
It's weird to say it any time. Never mind against Rangers. It's weird to say it any time.
That is
Dead
very true.
Rubbers, Tynecastle, last home game of the season. Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Devlin wins the ball in the middle of the park, who finds Shankland, who plays it to Oda on the edge of the box, who fires an effort wide of the post. But opening 10 minutes, we were in their faces and going
We
for
were
it.
on it.
Yeah.
We were at it. Yutaro Oda's greed is going to really annoy me in this very game. I'm going to get that out there right now.
I
because
thought
I want
it was
to be
good.
I thought it was great.
It did annoy me as well.
But there's situations that arise in games when you just think, just pass the ball.
And then there's a time where he could have shot and didn't and passed.
Exactly. And you think, like, he's got them back, he's got them, like, muddled up in the wrong way round. It's so annoying.
Come on, Yutaro. Get it together.
I do like him.
Yeah.
Like, there was no need for this shot on 7 minutes because it's a hopeless effort. I'm surprised Hart's even included it in the highlights.
Yeah.
But in other situations, I'm thinking he does so well, and a cutback's on. He'll go for a goal like at the most ridiculous
We'll
angle.
get to that. We'll get to that.
Why are you doing that?
There's a big moment later in the half that happens. But there was then a little bit of time where Rangers could have and definitely should have scored.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
As in the 11th minute, Dessers and Diamandi have a nice 1-2 on the edge of the box, but the former shot is straight at Clark. And then on the 20th minute, incredibly, it's not 1-0. Rolls in the
wakey!
In the way that Adam mentioned earlier about playing it for the back. It goes from Kent to Gordon, to Clark, to Rolls. He dallies on the ball. Ross McCausland, who I thought had a really good game, just picks his pocket and squares it. And I'll be totally honest with you, at this point, I just put my head in my hands. So I didn't actually see what happened until I watched this back. God. He squares it to Cyril Dessers, who is a yard out, but somehow Zander Clark makes the save and keeps it 0-0.
He's got to score.
We have spent a season
got to score.
Speaking about
Cyril Dessers.
Yeah, defending Dessers, being like, listen, he's all right. He's not as bad as people make out to be. This was like the game where they went, right, Daniel and Adam, do you think this guy's good? We're going to have him miss every chance possible in every way possible as well.
I'm relieved he had his big Timberlands on the weekend. My goodness, he was treading in treacle. I mean, Rolls, man, like, what is he like?
He's just again, he's just no paying attention.
But the fact that this is like, there's nothing riding on this game, so I can excuse it. But come on, and then I see people coming out and defending Dessers here, saying that the ball's behind him.
No
way. He's got to score that.
95% of the goal aim that isn't dominated by Zander Clark. Zander Clark is taking up 5% of that goal.
And what I will say is, it's an unbelievable save from Zander Clark. Yeah. People rightfully bash the miss, and they probably focus more on the miss. But I'm going to say it. Had Craig Gordon saved that, we'd be talking more about the save as opposed to the miss.
I agree with
Clark has saved it. They've spoken more about the miss than the save. It's an unbelievable stop.
It's really annoying to me.
Has to score.
It's really annoying to me how little folk have, like, neutral, because I've seen Hearts fans just be like, fucking I think Zander Clark, I'll say this now, I think Zander Clark was man of the match at the weekend.
He made a couple brilliant saves.
He got really annoyed. Did you see that? Where he was like, I kept getting annoyed at the ref because I kept making these unbelievable saves and he kept blowing for offside, so they wouldn't have counted anyway. And he's like, so they don't count as my saves? And he's like,
do they not?
I didn't know that. He was like, they don't count, and he was just like, no, I've saved it. Just say that it would have counted anyway.
Can I just say, like, we've seen this kind of across the board in the last weekend. I don't think the officials really give a fuck, to be honest.
No, they don't.
They really don't care. Like, nothing's riding on these games, so they just let everything breathe. It's unbelievable. Rangers should have had a pen for a pull shirt.
Oh yeah, that wasn't even in the highlights. They absolutely should have had a pen, and we should have had a pen that wasn't in the highlights.
We should have had a pen up the other end, but they just didn't care.
It's just
nobody gives a shit.
God, I forgot all about that. Yeah, Dessers just gets his shirt pulled and it's a pen.
So why, just let Clark have these saves?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, some things they're so anal about, and others they just don't remotely care. It's bizarre.
That is a good point. Yeah, the Dessers shirt pull from Ken isn't in the highlights, and neither is when Vargas gets pulled down in the second half.
I'd be screaming for both of them,
Yeah, they're
MacGyver.
both penalties.
All
Like,
day.
yeah, it's mad. However, we then do start coming back into it in the bang on the half-hour mark. Long throw from Kingsley into the Rangers box, which is met by Rolls, who flicks it onto Shankland, but his volley goes over the bar. And then 2 minutes
Maybe should do
later,
better, but that's because we hold
probably,
them in such a high
yeah.
esteem.
2 minutes later, Frankie Kent heads over from a Barry Mackay corner, but from the ensuing goal kick, a loose pass from the pantomime villain of the day, Todd Cantwell, in the middle of the park, means Oda can run onto it, and we've criticised him for no cutting back. Apparently, he can't cut it back, but he can play 40-yarder through balls with one touch.
This is exactly what I mean. How can you do that and yet other points of your game just be so raw?
He plays the perfect ball.
An inch perfect pass.
To both an on-rushing Kenny Vargas and Lawrence Shankland, but the whole
Thank God he left it.
stadium screams at Vargas to leave it because not only who's
Thank
behind
God
him,
he did.
but he's offside. However, Shankland, the fat, out-of-shape, canny run championship pen merchant, breezes past the Europa League defence, waits for Butland to come out, and just, as if it's nothing, as if it's fives, chips Jack Butland to get his 31st goal of the season for the club. 32 if you want to count the Scotland goal, but I don't give a fuck about that. He scored 31 for us.
I will.
We're 1-0 up against Rangers, and as we said earlier, it just was like, as soon as he was through, it was like, this is in, we're winning.
Oh. 25 years we've waited.
It's mad. We're going to have to fucking wait another 25 after this as well.
No, imagine us explaining to like our wee nippers that don't worry, one of these days we will get a 30-goal season striker. We will, I promise you. Even if it's Lawrence Shankland's weighing himself.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we have to do. We have to wait another at least 2 decades until he has a wee boy and he comes up. Maybe his daughters can do it for the women's team and we'll just take that. I'd take that. That would be absolutely fine.
A crumb of comfort from his daughter. Oh, I honestly, I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say. The finish is just redonkulous.
Yeah, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. And
if that was in a top 5 league, it'd be getting replayed all around the world.
That happened.
The
with
ball is
Foden.
exquisite. The finish is magnificent.
That's a good point, actually. The home, if that's KDB to Haaland, it's getting played everywhere.
Oh my God. I mean, this Man City fest that we're currently in, Jesus, give it a rest.
Well, 5 minutes later, we nearly make it 2 as Shankland plays a lovely ball over the top of Vargas, whose effort hits the side netting, but he's back again. 60 seconds later, Cyril Dessers misses from a yard out as McCausland again kind of puts it on a plate, and he's again a yard out, slides in and puts it somehow over the bar. It's not even that he misses, it's that it somehow goes right up in the air.
Nice one, Cyril. Nice one, son.
Yep, well done. And then this is the moment that we're speaking about earlier. Oda was kind of, I will give him young Fraser left back for Rangers his credit. For the first 25 minutes or so, I thought Oda struggled on.
Yeah, he did. He pocketed Oda. And then from there on in,
that was it. Oda had the better of him. And this was kind of the defining moment of it. Oda puts Fraser on the floor as he cuts him from the far side. But instead of just taking half a second to compose himself, he just goes, I'm just going to shoot. And because someone made the point, that's where he scored his almost identical position where he scored his goal against Aberdeen when it went into the far corner and he ran into the fans. So people are like, clearly when he gets into that area, he's like, oh, this is the place where I score goals from.
I want to say it's Hibs goal as well, no?
I thought Hibs was edge of the box, but it might be from
it's in that
side.
In that kind of vicinity, isn't it?
Clearly, whenever he gets into that area, he just thinks, "Stop! I'm going to score." But no, it's well wide. But half time comes and we're 1-0 up.
Yeah, and decent value for it, I'd argue.
Yeah. I thought we deserved a lead.
I've talked about Oda on one side. I want to mention wee Vargas as well because I've in recent weeks I've said he's not a winger, but he was actually really good at the weekend.
He absolutely had Tav all fucking day.
He did. And look, James Tavernier comes under a lot of criticism, yeah, but I mean he's been the Rangers captain for what, about a decade,
Yeah,
so
roughly.
it can't be that bad. Um,
I think he often
but
gets too
Vargas was
hard a
great.
time
Yeah, so
from
do I.
Rangers fans. I think Tavernier is
So
a
do
good
I, mate.
defender, but yeah, Vargas just absolutely ruined him all day.
And this is what you want to see with the wide areas. I mean, I don't think we've had enough of that really this season. I think Forrest has been good for us this season,
Yeah,
but there's not really been another contributor on the other flank.
yep.
Whereas with these two, it was as though it was kind of, yeah, a wee experiment in a way, I'd say, and just try and get in behind them because you've got James Tavernier who people question defensively, yeah, a young lad again at left back. Was it Robbie Fraser? Is
It
that
was
his name?
Summon Fraser. I can't mind his first name.
It was Robbie. But yeah, just let's go for it.
Yeah.
I like the approach. I like the approach. I like the instructions in terms of just the wide players getting behind, try and cause problems, and we'll take it from there. And I thought that first 45 was pretty decent, to be fair.
Yeah,
Probably value for our lead.
definitely agreed. However, it immediately goes wrong. As in the 52nd minute, Rangers do equalise. McCausland flicks the ball away from Cochrane, who goes down appealing for high feet, but it isn't given. McCausland then continues onwards, beating Cammy Devlin, and hits a great effort from the edge of the box, past Sander Clark, and in off the outside of the post, the inside of the post. Sorry, I
He's
thought
got no
McCausland.
chance for that because
Nah, he doesn't.
it's a magnificent finish.
Yeah,
My annoyance is kind of just a nipping past Cochrane so easily. I know that you've mentioned the high foot there, but and Devlin just gets done so
Devlin
easily.
gets done. Yeah,
It's a magnificent finish from the young lad. To
I
be
thought
fair,
McCausland was the best player for them. I thought he was
yeah,
really
he's good,
good.
isn't he? He's a
Yeah,
good wee player.
maybe he was right to be nominated for the Young Player of the Year.
I know. What do we know? After we slewed the inclusion a couple of weeks back.
However, 56th minute, Oda this time does everything right. Does well away to get away from Fraser again. This time does choose to cut it back. However, Butland manages to get down and push it away before Vargas slides in.
I'm sorry, you say that right. I don't know what this is. I think he's looking for Vargas.
I think he might fuck the shot and then go, yep, it was a body Vargas. That's what it was.
I was thinking about this as watching the highlights. I was like, what do you really write down in terms of notes for this chance? And I was like, is cross slash shot? Because I still don't know what it is.
Yeah, I just said
Like,
cut it back.
I feel like he's looking for Vargas at the back post, but then he forces a save from Butland. It's great goalkeeping because he ultimately diverts it away from the danger. But Oda, see if he just had that final pass or that final ball, it'd just be so good.
He wouldn't be here, is where he would be.
No, Celtic would have snapped him up alongside Kyogo, Hatate, and whoever else.
Because was he playing it?
He was with Kyogo.
Yeah, Vissel Kobe or whatever it is. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we should do that. But he's good enough for me. I love him. Right?
I do like him. I do like him. Ella loves his translator.
The wee guy that just stands beside Naismith getting spoken to.
I'd love to know what he interprets Stephen Naismith's instructions. He wants you to push higher.
Yeah.
I'd love to know.
Because I don't think I'd understand what Nazy's saying to me when he's panically shouting instructions at me. 59th minute, Dessers again misses. This time he's on the penalty spot and it's a cross in. He somehow puts it wide.
Great control, but shocking effort.
Actually, we can mention this now because I can't remember where it is. I was so annoyed that the highlights didn't include that touch for Vargas where Clark just sent it 100 miles away and Vargas just in a single movement killed it dead. That was annoying that wasn't the highlights.
That wee guy, just as time goes on, that's going to be my summer, is just thinking about him, watching him play.
We didn't mention that in the first half. He got right up in Cantwell's face and absolutely infuriated Cantwell.
What about his post on Twitter as well? A little kiss emoji.
What are we?
A 5-year deal. That should have been a 10-year deal.
Yeah, exactly. 64th minute, Rolls does brilliantly. He intercepted Dessa's chance, but it's worked back to Rangers, who shot by Fabio Silva, who came off the bench. Is saved by Clark. Then, as we just mentioned, Todd Cantwell's effort is blocked by Rolls again, who somehow ran back and managed to block it.
I said about Kai Rolls and kind of the playing out from the back. I was going to say that I wanted a left-footed centre half, but from there on in, he was actually pretty
He
decent, I
was good.
thought.
Yeah, he was. He was solid.
Again, like I say it all the time, he's either Paolo Maldini or Paolo Nutini. And
Yeah.
even in game, he just has moments where it's like, wakey, wakey.
Oh, I've just realised what comes next. So he didn't cover himself in glory here because Rangers do make it
No.
2-1 as Shankland lets the ball run through his legs due to a kind of miscommunication. I don't know if he thinks Vargas is closer to him or if he doesn't think Tavernier is where he is. As Rangers break forward, it eventually ends up at the feet of Todd Cantwell. Rolls commits too early, I think it is. That's how I read it. And Cantwell just takes us a touch across and in
See
an
you, nerd.
almost identical goal to
Yeah,
Ross
very
McCausland's
similar.
earlier, makes it 2-1. For his Instagram, he does about 12 different celebrations. That have you seen all that, Pat, in the last 24 hours?
Oh, that I have. The fans
Yeah,
aren't happy with
the
that.
no job.
I mean that is mental. You got the first Old Firm Scottish Cup final since 2002. You've come off the back of a game where you've pissed away a two-goal lead
With
in the
9
space of
minutes
10
left.
minutes. And against your biggest rivals who've just won the league, could go for a domestic double, albeit so could you. You decide to post that on your Instagram story. I
Crazy.
mean, he should actually just move on loan to Hibs because they can't read the room either. He'd
Yeah,
be brilliant for
exactly.
Hibs.
And I'm someone who doesn't give a shit about what players post on social media and stuff like that. It's different, but it's like, yeah, you're at Rangers. They're no going to take kindly to
Oh,
that. Like, as you say,
exactly.
read the
I, I
room.
mean, I was really pleased with Vargas's post, but if I was one of them and I saw Todd Cantwell post that,
Raging. You mentioned him there.
shocking.
Lembikisa swings a great ball into the back post that is met by
Oh,
the
I
head of
couldn't
Kenny Vargas,
believe that.
but his
Thought that
effort
was the one. I
just
thought that
goes
was the
wide.
moment.
Yeah,
Because I've
same.
been mouthing off to the Rangers fans that I work with about my love for Kenny Vargas. So I really wanted him to score in this game. I thought that was the moment. But sadly
No,
wasn't to
it
be.
wasn't. And 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes later, 54 seconds later, the game looks to go completely out of our sight as McCausland again is at the heart of everything, drills a ball into the Hearts box. Lembikisa is sleeping
Abysmal
completely.
defending.
Fabio Silva nicks in, gets the ball. He goes and does his TikTok celebrations as well. It's 3-1, and I'll make a point about this. Loads of folk then left. And it's like, good. I'm glad what then happened.
Even
Stay.
even despite the club giving the warning pre-match that you should stay in your seat after the game because
Yep.
of tributes and this, that, and the other.
Potential your last time I've seen Lawrence Shankland and Alex Cochrane and stuff like that
Uh,
playing. No, you're away. But from then on, a
hey,
magical
people make their
10
own
minutes,
choices.
a
Oh,
magical 10 minutes happened as immediately from the kickoff, Butland makes a really good save from a Lembikisa effort.
that's a
However,
great save. Great
it is a
strike as
really good
well.
save. It is see if Lembikisa, because he's out of contract with Wolves, right? See if it
Oh,
was
is he? I
like
didn't know that.
we're signing Lembikisa on a free, but as a winger. I'd be like, sound? I'm more than happy with that if it means we're getting two right backs in. That's
I
fine.
was, yeah, I was speaking to the old man who had the ticket at the weekend, and he said he loves how Dexter Lembakisa gets forward, but he's not a defender.
He
We were both like,
cannot
he's not,
defend.
he's not a fullback, is he? I mean, Silva's goal is just the epitome of that.
Yeah.
Like, again, this is somebody that you'll be in the academy
Yuri's
with,
teammate,
or
he
like,
kept speaking to him all through the game, and after the game, he was speaking to him the entire time.
and he's been absolutely, he's just snoozed,
Yeah.
turned off. And they brought him in for 35 million quid.
Yeah.
Like, and you just think, oh, just,
Don't worry
I don't
about
know,
him.
just,
It's all right.
yeah, crazy. But he does get forward well. I do like him. Not as a fullback,
No.
not as a
No.
wing back. And again, I've been one that's been championing the signing of a right back for a good little while now. There has to be at least one, ideally two,
I'd
coming in
want
this
to.
summer.
Yeah. However, the wing back slash right back slash winger helped us massively as 2 minutes after that great save, Cochrane finds Vargas on the far side and the epitome of Vargas doing Tavernier. He turns the Rangers captain just inside out completely, gets to the byline, chips a ball to the back post to Dexter Lembikisa, who, like a forward, just casually
Caresses
effortlessly
it.
puts it past Butland. And as Laurie Dunsire said, hold on, there could be something happening here.
There was something in the water. Vargas and Lembikisa are just curious cases.
Yeah, they're weird.
I, I, I don't know. They could be backup wingers. I kind of would like to see Vargas through the middle, but would I trust him to finish the chances that Shanklin does? Probably not.
Yeah.
So they're two that we could easily develop and work upon.
Yeah, totally.
I've got no qualms about that.
Um, it then jumps forward to the 92nd minute as Kieran Dowell shoots from the edge of the box that is pushed onto the post by Clark, who
Brilliant
gets up in
save.
time to prevent a Sema effort as well. And you're thinking, right, for some reason this wasn't in the highlights, but we had a corner a minute later that Tagawa gets on the end of, but it's blocked by someone. And I was thinking, that's the
That's it.
chance. That's it. However, I don't know what it was. I was saying this to my dad and my
It
brother and
wasn't to
stuff
be.
after the game. I just never felt like we were going to lose it. I don't know if it's because I was thinking we've played too well to lose this game. We don't deserve to lose this game at all. But I was thinking we're going to get some in here. I can just feel it.
I mean, I blindly predicted that we'd end with 2 wins on the last episode of the podcast, but for who scored, I backed a draw. I don't know why. I thought Hearts Rangers had a draw written all
Well,
over it, and
in the last
thankfully
podcast,
that's how it
I
proved.
said that Kioski Tagawa
Yes, you
would
did.
have an impactful moment in this Rangers game. Did I think it was going to come this way? No.
Did you honestly think it was going to come to fruition? Probably not.
Yes, I did. I fully backed it. With the last action of the game in an almost identical situation to what you mentioned right at the start of the podcast, part of that wonderful time this season at Easter Road, where Xander Clark just decides, fuck this, route one to fuck. He sends a long ball into the air. Frankie Kent, he can't be
Love that
arsed in
he's up
Paisley.
there.
Yep, he can't be arsed in Paisley, but he's here at Tynecastle. He's up as an auxiliary forward in the Craig Halkett mould that we saw years ago. He knocks it down. And before, it's one of the great goals. From Xander Clark's foot to hit him the back of the net, it doesn't touch the ground, which is great. And before the camera can get across, Kioski Tagawa has fucking rifled that ball into the back of the net. The place detonates. It was like we'd won it in the last minute. It was unbelievable. The tequila songs going.
Love that.
Regardless of what happens with Kioski Tagawa now, right? Naismith's spoken about the fact that he's really looking forward to him with a pre-season under his belt. Some people are saying that he's probably going to move on if we need funds, stuff like that. Regardless, I'm so happy we now will have that moment with him. You know, in the same vein as like people think back of Milinkovic, and it's like we have that Celtic game that is just like, regardless of anything else, Milinkovic had one game at least where he was unstoppable.
I'd
And
even
now Tago's
argue
got
like
it.
a Gennaro Zafouk with the two like
Exactly.
goals against Rangers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Left a legacy all of a
Just,
sudden.
but it's like he now has that moment forever. When he leaves, whenever it is, people will mention that. It's like you had that moment. And I'm
It's a
so
great goal.
chuffed for him. It's such both these goals
2 first-time finishes
are
are shit
unbelievable.
hot. Yeah. I
So chuffed for him.
chuff for him and chuff for us.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw a stat where it was like Rangers had beaten the same team 6 times in a season, 3 times in their history. We could have been the 4th.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've then prevented that so late on, I know that
I
just
know,
a
but it's
nonsense bit of
still a
trivia.
thing to
But the
have.
fact that they'd have like that record against us, I mean, 6 losses out of 6 would have been embarrassing. Don't get me wrong, a draw in 5 isn't great either,
Yeah.
but it's better than 0 and 6.
Yeah.
And I think we needed that as a little bit of a confidence boost that we can get a result against Rangers. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, they're going to have a little rebuild now, as Celtic probably will. But I mean, against that team, there was absolutely no reason why we couldn't have won that game, which is disappointing to say. But the fact that they've rescued it, I watched a I watched a Copa 90 documentary on Cadiz, who have just been
Hmm.
relegated from La Liga into the second in Spain, the second division. And I think their manager he's got some slogan where it was like, the fight is non-negotiable.
Right.
And I thought I really liked that. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
that goes to show that we've got some fight in us. Again, it's a non-negotiable. We've talked about the fact that it's a dead rubber. Love to get a dead rubber word counter on this episode.
Yeah, no.
But the team obviously don't view it like that. They want to give the fans something to cheer on the last day of the season, and they've left it late, but mission accomplished.
Yeah, definitely. And it meant that loads of folk thankfully stayed behind. And it was during the week that the club confirmed that three players would be leaving on the end of their deals. Michael McGovern, who will become one of the funniest signings that we've ever made, just
20
what?
sub appearances, no appearances for
Yeah.
Hearts. Got
Yeah,
to
I think it was
respect
something
it.
like he now holds that record or something for the
Yeah, that's
most
right.
appearances. Yeah.
Without
Amazing.
making an appearance.
Andy
That's a
Halliday.
legacy as well.
That is a
Taco,
legacy.
that's a legacy.
Andy Halliday, who wasn't there, but we got the Halla Derby out of it. So it was amazing.
Big
However,
time.
the big one,
How are you feeling?
well, on Friday night, the club released an interview with Peter Haring, and I was really surprised at how emotional I got at it. I couldn't believe because I was like, yeah, like for example, it became like my thing on this podcast that I love Michael Smith so much. I never got like once emotional at Michael Smith leaving. I was just like, oh, cheers. I wish we'd given you more. Wish you had like more of a legacy. But it was when Haring just spoke about the fact that he didn't understand why we so quickly took to him and just liked him. And it's like he's been here 6 years. And
That's mental.
it's crazy to think considering he only made 38 appearances more than Alex Cochrane just due to injuries. Like
Jesus.
it's terrifying, right? It's absolutely terrifying. And if he had kept up that initial form when he came in 2018 till his big injury, he would have been here for 18 months and he would have been away. Because that
Yeah,
Peter Haring is one of the best midfielders I've ever seen at Hearts. We lost the 2019 Cup final the minute he goes off that park. Like,
I agree with that.
he was just immense. It's so sad that his career has played out the way it has, that he's been so affected by injuries. But he got that moment. He gets a guard of honour. Everybody's there in the sun. We've not lost to Rangers. It's a big thing. And I wish him all the best. And it's funny hearing his accent that it's mixed with
The
Scottish.
hybrid in it.
Yeah, it's
It's
great. I was lucky enough to meet him once. It was when we were working with the club and doing social media stuff. I stood speaking to him for 5 minutes, and he was the loveliest guy in the world. And just, I'm gutted that he's leaving, but it is the right time. But I'm so glad he got this send off.
it is the right time. It's a nice send off, and he has been a great servant to the football club. Yeah, it's sad, but sadly it has to happen, Mackay. Sometimes we've
Yeah,
just
no.
got to rip these bandages off.
It's going to be like this all summer as all our
Don't,
favourites leave.
don't,
But yes,
don't.
so this has been a bumper episode of the podcast because we've had so much to speak about. But
Yeah, you've done well to compress that, to be fair, although I have spouted some absolute nonsense as per.
that's what we it's it's the penultimate episode of the season. That's what folk are here for. However, we do have the quiz. Now,
Great.
I don't know how you're going to do in this. I think you could either have a blinder or you could have an absolute nightmare. I think
That's
it's
how I
going to be
feel every
interesting.
week.
Fair, but I sometimes feel more confident than you. But I am interested to see how you do. So, as
Oh
ever,
no.
we have the true or false, the multiple choice, two normal questions, and the who am I. And we're starting with the true or false.
Oh, brilliant.
So, true or false, Hearts have only had one player sent off this season in all competitions.
False. We've had none.
Correct. Do you know the
Yes.
technicality, though? You're correct. You've got the point, but there is a technicality on that.
Was there a red downgraded to a yellow?
In the semi-final of the League Cup, Stephen Kingsley received a second yellow card
So he
for a
did.
handball.
That's
However,
right.
it
It
was
got cancelled
downgraded. It
out.
was cancelled out. Yes, by VAR. Another
Not
instance where
bad.
Stephen Kingsley was convinced he had not handled the ball and VAR got him out
If
of it.
Stephen Kingsley's adamant, you know that you fucked up as
Yeah,
an official.
exactly. But yeah, we went an entire season without a red card for the first time in our history.
The first time in our history.
Yeah, we'd never gone a season since,
Wow.
or at least since records began. We've never we've always had somebody sent off.
That's nuts.
Especially when you've got Cammy Devlin in your team. It's some fucking
And
achievement.
Alex Cochrane.
Yeah, exactly. And Toby Sibbick, who Sibbick and Cochrane just kept getting sent off at the same time as each other for a period
It
of
was
time.
me thinking we played decent football.
No.
We're a gang. We're
Yeah,
a
we
gang of
are.
hatchetmen.
Big physical hearts is true. Confirmed. Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah. Right. Next question is the multiple choice, because if I didn't give you a multiple choice here, I would have been a bastard.
Oh no.
This season, and also let's see if you pay attention to what you share on the account.
Oh god.
This season was the first in Scottish top flight history to not have a player score a hat trick.
Yes.
Since when?
Oh god.
Was it 1889-90, 1890-91, 1891-92, or 1892-93?
Oh, I think I shared this on my personal.
You did. I saw Adam Kennedy has retweeted this, and I was like, right, let's see what he's done.
Maybe I should have taken a note of that. Instead, took a note of the fact that Dunfermline and Inverness were the last two teams to draw all four games in a top flight season. 11-12. Can you give me the options again, Kai?
Yes.
Sorry, mate.
1889-90, 90-91, 91-92, 92-93.
Did you say 89-90?
I did indeed.
I'm going to go with that. I have no idea.
You are 1 year off. It is 1890-91.
Oh, that's annoying.
But yeah, first season since
Still
then.
mad though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, again, there's a slight technicality. Maeda scored a hat trick for Celtic, but it was in the cup.
Ah, well.
It wasn't in the league though.
Is he
Continuing.
the only one?
Yeah, he's the only one.
Wow.
Yeah, there was in all competitions in terms of top flight, there was one hat trick scored. It's crazy.
Fair play. All right.
And speaking about goal scorers, Lawrence Shankland scored his 30th goal against St Mirren, which meant there has now been 18 separate times where Hearts players have scored 30 plus goals in a single season. But how many individuals have done it? So it's happened 18 times. And what I mean by that is, for example, I will give you one.
So like
Barney
Battles
did it 3
John
times,
Robertson,
but he only counts as one.
Yeah. I've got you.
Of the 18 seasons, how many different players have done it? And I will give you it if you're one each side.
I've got 6 in my head, so I'm going to go with it.
You are exactly half wrong. It's 12.
Wow, really?
And I've got all the names. It is in the latest it happened is Andy Wilson, Jock White, Barney Battles Jr., David McCulloch, Andy Black, Bill Walsh, Archie Kelly, Willie Bald, Jimmy Wartaw, Willie Wallace, John Robertson, Lawrence Shankland.
Wow, bloody hell. I don't think there was anywhere near as many as that.
And yeah, guys like Bald did it a couple of times, Wartaw did it a couple of times, Barney Battles did it 3 times. I think Andy Black did it a couple of times as well. But yeah, 12
Robo did it once.
Robo did it once, yeah. He got several 20 plus, but one 30. And
but even though that's nuts though, because clubs all-time leading goal scorer and only won 30-goal season.
It's crazy.
So that's what made me think it'd be weirder than that.
Yeah,
but
it's absolutely mad. And as we mentioned him, Shankland became the first goal scorer to score, the first player to score 30 plus goals since Robbo in which season? And again, you shared this, which is how I saw it.
Was it not 35 years? I wanted to say it was 87, 88.
Is that your final answer?
I don't know, but I'll go with it because I'm aware of time.
He's spot on. 1987 to 1988. Well done. Woo! That's the most impressive one you've got. Considering I was going to say if you were struggling, I would have given you options. But
Jesus, thank
fair
God for
play.
that. Thanks, mate. I
So
do pay attention
you
sometimes.
do 2 out of 4. It's no bad.
It's all right.
It's not right. Right. The Who Am I? Are you ready?
I'm worried as to who the hell this could be. We've been talking about far too many good centre
Yeah.
forwards. I feel like there's a rotten one coming here.
So I featured in a dramatic final day draw against Rangers. I have
Okay.
played exclusively in Scotland and for
Oh.
over 10 clubs. I made both my Hearts debut and final appearance against the same opposition. At one of my clubs, I was controversially dropped after several man of the match performances that led to me saying my manager was a bit of an idiot. And finally, for one of my former clubs, I am part of the most successful youth team in that club's history. Who am I?
Ooh. That first clue, I thought it was Gennaro Zaykout straight
I
away.
wouldn't be that obvious.
So yes, just the one time that I've ever mentioned somebody that would then later come up. Oh, played exclusively in Scotland.
Yes,
Try to think of the final day
that is one of your
draw
questions
with
gone.
Rangers. What?
I want to see if you panic. No, you've still got your 2 questions.
I need to know what kind of era it is. Yeah, yeah. I have to ask when they played for Hearts, McIver, between which seasons?
He plays for Hearts between 2014 and 2016.
Oh, final day draw with Rangers. Oh,
I'm chuffed with this, Shin. It's a Gideon.
that's. Ay, ay, ay. What was the clue about the final day with Rangers? Sorry.
I played in a dramatic final day draw against Rangers.
Dramatic. Oh, so he played in it. So he didn't necessarily. So it was that 14-15 season then. Must be. Who who was up front with. No, I played in it. Can you give me the clues again?
Yes, of
Sorry.
course, I can. I played in a dramatic final day draw against Rangers. I have exclusively played in Scotland and for over 10 clubs. I made my Hearts debut and final appearance against the same opposition. At one of my clubs, I was controversially dropped after several man of the match performances that led to me saying my manager was a bit of an idiot, and I am part at one of my clubs of the most successful youth team in their history.
See nothing about position at all. So I'm quite tempted to ask for the position. Yeah, I'm gonna ask what position did they play MacGyver?
This individual was a goalkeeper.
A goalkeeper. 14-15. There's no way that Jack Hamilton has 10 clubs. Don't look at me like that. Neil Alexander did not play exclusively in Scotland because he went down south to Palace because we signed him and Osman Sow there. Oh my God. A goalkeeper. Oh, we have no idea. I feel like it's like Lee Hollis or what other dross did we have? No, it must be a young goalie. But 10 clubs. No, I don't know. I'm gonna guess Lee Hollis. I've no idea.
It is not Lee Hollis, I'm sorry to let you know. The
Mark
correct
Ridgers.
answer is Scott Gallagher.
Honestly, would not have got that.
Now, here's some mental.
Is he Paul's son?
I don't know. It's a very good question, right? I don't think so because he's 34. Surely there's no that. Surely no. Surely no. But some
I
mental
don't know.
statistics here. So I played in the dramatic final day. I forgot that. He started in goals in that 2-all because Alexander got hurt. And
I
also,
honestly could not have told you that.
I made my Hearts debut and final appearance. That was his last appearance. His debut was in
He
the
subbed
opening
on
game of the season when Alexander got hurt against Rangers
and he got subbed
and
on.
Gallagher got subbed on.
Was Lee Hollis at Hearts?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the goalkeepers within that in that time frame.
He was. He was.
Yeah. So
He's
it was a
also from
50
Bells Hill.
it was a 50-50 really. So
Yeah,
there
it
you
was.
go.
I've
Oh,
exclusively
that's
played in
annoying.
Scotland. He started at Rangers, and he was the goalkeeper that was part of the most successful
Youth team.
Rangers youth team. He helped Rangers under 19 win the league and Scottish Youth Cup doubles in consecutive seasons in 06-07 and 07-08. And he also featured in a first team squad in the Champions League. So he came through at Rangers, then he was
Bloody
on loan at
hell.
Cowdenbeath, Forfar, and Airdrieonians, signed for us, made 3 appearances, all in that season, 2 of them against Rangers. Went on loan to Forfar again, then Alloa, St Mirren is where under Jack Ross dropped him, and when asked by a journalist why he was dropped, and then his side started conceding again, he was like, "Oh, I think he's just been a bit of an idiot. I'll come back in soon." And then he did. He then just came back in. Then he signed for Hibs in 2017, Dumbarton, Airdrie again, then Arbroath, East Fife, and Alloa again.
Could not have told you anything about his career.
Yeah, it's mad. I couldn't believe it. It was just when I saw
Do you know
somebody
the other
post this.
appearance? It must have been like living that Challenge Cup or something, was it?
I will find out for you right now because I genuinely have absolutely
Oh,
no fucking
I
idea.
remember somebody coming on for Neil Alexander.
So
I
do
honestly thought
I,
it was I honestly thought it was Lee Hollis
but I
at Ibrox.
totally assumed
I
that
did
we'd
not.
started Alexander in that final day of the season. I can
Yeah,
only remember Z Fuchs double. That's all I can remember.
yeah.
Um,
I did like Big Gennaro.
but yeah, it's just mad. So for us, he played 3 times in the league.
Oh wow.
He
So
played,
both Rangers games and some other random league game.
it was
A derby or
Wraith
something.
when we won
Wraith.
2-1. He played the full game, 2 games before the third last game of the season. He played the full game. I have no memory of this guy ever.
Neither do I. That's
But
shocking.
sorry, mate.
Sorry,
You
Scott.
you
Yeah,
were the
sorry if you're
starting
watching.
goalkeeper in the Zayfute game, and nobody could remember you. We can just remember that. He
Fair
was
play.
part of the team that got like a guard of honour that came out and everything.
That's an outside the box shout, McIver. I like it. I
I'm
like the
chuffed with
tough
that.
ones like that.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Well,
Wow.
let us know if you got it, and let us know if you're still listening. Thank you for making it all the way
Yeah.
through
Apologies,
this
gang.
bumper episode. But last game of the season, we had to do it. It's a lot to talk about. If you did enjoy it, please let us know on your podcast platform of choice. Leave us a review. It massively helps. If you've been watching us on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Perth Paisley on all the socials. perthpaisley@gmail.com if you want to fire us over an email. Adam, where can they get you on all the socials?
You can get me on all the socials rewatching Gennaro's F-Out's last day double against Rangers at Adam T. Kendo. And what about yourself, man?
I think that's the only time ever the Who Am I hasn't actually been mentioned in what you're going to be doing after the game. I am at DMcIver22. We'll be back next week for our 2023-2024 overall view and our embarrassing predictions. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Morats!